At my younger brother John's wedding, which was meant to be a joyful family gathering, I experienced an unexpected turning point. For context, I had built a successful cooking business from a humble food truck I started in college. This venture, which began during my student days, grew into a well-established company that now boasts over 47 employees and serves high-end events throughout the greater Chicago area. This success came from years of sleepless nights, personal sacrifices, and unwavering determination. Despite my accomplishments, my relationship with my family had been strained for years. My mother passed away when I was 15, and my father quickly remarried Ella, my now stepmother, who pushed my mother's memory out of our lives. This caused significant tension between us. My father supported my brother John entirely through an expensive private university, while I juggled multiple part-time jobs to fund my own education, emphasizing the disparity in their support for us. As I worked to build my business, Ella often demeaned my efforts, dismissively calling it playing with a food truck and contrasting it with John's real career in auditor. After years of minimal contact and a significant rift caused by the sale of our childhood home, which they did without my knowledge, disposing of my mother's remaining belongings, I had chosen to cut ties with them. When John's wedding invitation arrived, it included a personal note expressing his desire to mend our relationship. Motivated by a mixture of hope and familial duty, I decided to attend, even offering to cater the event at a discount. John declined, stating they had already arranged another caterer, which stung, but I accepted. The wedding day at a stunning venue in Lake Forest started on a hopeful note, with John genuinely pleased to see me. However, Ella's demeanor remained unchanged, her snide remarks about my appearance and business stinging yet again. The seating arrangement at the event further highlighted the familial divide, placing me at a distance from the core family group. As the event unfolded, I learned something that compounded my already mixed emotions. Unbeknownst to them, my company was actually the one catering the event, subcontracted through the company my brother had booked. Realizing my family's mocking had continued despite my achievements in creating a successful business, I made a decisive move. I instructed my staff to discreetly pack up and leave, resulting in 470 guests suddenly without food. This decision was not made lightly. It was a stand against years of undervaluation and mockery, a stark message that I was no longer willing to be diminished or overlooked. My business, which started as a simple food truck and grew into a significant enterprise, was my statement of independence and self-worth. The abrupt end to the wedding feast last weekend was indeed disastrous, but it was also a declaration that respect is paramount, a value I intend to uphold in all my personal and professional interactions. At the wedding, I found myself seated away from my close family and among distant cousins whom I barely knew, a clear sign I was considered an outsider. The situation deteriorated at the reception. My father, noticeably inebriated, publicly chastised me. He wrongfully accused me of crashing the event despite the formal invitation I carried and loudly berated me for embarrassing the family and ruining what was supposed to be John's special day. Before I could even defend myself, Ella sarcastically questioned my earnings from my restaurant business, mocking my suit as if I couldn't possibly afford something decent. The audacity of their comments was shocking. Choosing to stay calm, I left without a confrontation, knowing any discussion would be futile, especially with my father's condition and Ella's evident pleasure in belittling me. As I headed to my car, a glimpse of the catering staff setting up the dinner stopped me. They were my employees. Unbeknownst to me, my business had hired our recently acquired company to cater the wedding. Realizing I was legally in charge of the catering service, I confirmed this with my chief financial officer. Recalling the harsh words about my supposed negative impact on the wedding, I made a decisive move. If my presence was truly undesirable, they wouldn't want my company's services either. I instructed my staff to cease service and pack up. Within minutes, 27 of my employees had dismantled the setup, and chaos ensued among the 470 guests now left without a meal. My father attempted to intervene but was powerless. The contract allowed us to withdraw in the event of any hostile behavior towards our staff or me. I left a business card for the finance director, directing any complaints to my lawyer. The fallout was immediate. The next day, my phone overflowed with angry messages from relatives and threats of legal action from my father. I directed all communication to my lawyer and blocked their numbers. Surprisingly, some wedding guests reached out in support, having witnessed the mistreatment. They expressed their dismay at Ella and my father's actions. One of John's friends even apologized for the family's behavior, reaffirming that not everyone shared their hostile views. Before I even had a chance to explain, someone who had previously witnessed the quality of my catering service reached out to express their apologies for how things unfolded at the event. They commended my team for our swift and professional response to the crisis. This unexpected support was a reminder that not all family members were oblivious to the actual circumstances. As the days went by, I learned that the story of John's wedding had begun circulating among his social circles, especially the dramatic conclusion. Word had spread among John's colleagues and friends, and it wasn't long before cracks began to appear in Ella's meticulously crafted persona. Several mutual friends mentioned that Ella had tried to minimize the incident, unfairly blaming me for the disruption at the reception. However, the truth was already circulating, and her version of the events found few believers. The damage to her image was irreparable. Reflecting on the entire ordeal, I harbor no guilt. I didn't cause a scene or crash the wedding. I was there by invitation, but was treated with blatant disrespect. When they chose to humiliate me, I legally ended my services. It wasn't personal, just business. They made it clear they didn't want me there, so they forfeited my services as well. Despite this, I can't help feeling entangled in a family drama I had hoped to avoid. Now, I'm left questioning whether my actions were too severe or justified given their treatment of me. Seeking some perspective, I turned to Reddit. The support and feedback from the community have been overwhelming and enlightening, offering new angles to consider. Curiosity about the legal aspects has been high, with many wondering if my father and Ella would really take legal action against me. They have indeed threatened to sue. Following the wedding fiasco, I immediately consulted with my lawyer. We reviewed the contract signed by either John or his wedding planner with my catering company. Fortunately, the contract is solid, featuring a clause that permits service termination in the event of hostile or discriminatory behavior towards our staff. This clause was precisely for situations like this. To bolster our case, I contacted the finance director, who confirmed that the security cameras captured everything. Although the audio wasn't perfect, it was sufficient to confirm my father's verbal attacks and Ella's derisive comments, justifying our decision to cease catering. Armed with this evidence, I felt confident in my legal standing. My lawyer has since sent a formal letter to my father's attorney outlining our grounds for terminating the services, highlighting the video evidence, and stating our willingness to present it if needed. Despite hoping for a quick resolution, Ella's response through her lawyer demanded a full refund and threatened further legal action for allegedly ruining the wedding and causing irreparable harm. This ongoing dispute continues to weigh heavily on me as I navigate these complex family and legal dynamics. They were requesting compensation not only for the food service, but also for the disruption that affected the entire event. Naturally, I wasn't prepared to yield to their demands. I refused to pay anything, particularly since they were responsible for the issues in the first place. After consulting with my lawyer, we decided to put forth a counteroffer. We'd refund 70% of the deposit, but only if 4 conditions were met. First, they had to agree to a non-disclosure agreement, NDA, which would prevent them from publicly discussing the incident or leaving negative reviews online. Second, they needed to sign a release of claims to stop any further legal actions against myself or my company. We've sent the proposal and are now awaiting their reply. Amidst this legal hassle, Ella tried to stir up trouble. The finance director informed me that Ella had attempted to post negative online reviews about my cooking business. In her reviews, she falsely accused us of ruining the wedding and exaggerating the issues to discredit her family. Fortunately, the finance director managed to thwart her efforts. My legal team remains vigilant, ready to address any defamation if Ella persists in spreading lies. Surprisingly, this wedding debacle has also brought unexpected benefits. Several guests praised my staff's handling of the situation and showed interest in booking us for their own events. They were impressed with how swiftly and professionally we managed the crisis. It's ironic that such a disaster could open up new business prospects. As for my brother John, he hasn't reached out directly, but did send a message through a cousin. He expressed regret for not supporting me during the wedding, explaining his silence by not wanting to upset our father and Ella. He apologized and suggested we meet to discuss things. While part of me is open to hearing him out, another part feels it might be too late. For now, I'm delaying any personal meetings until the legal matters are fully settled. Reflecting on everything, I feel justified in my actions. My family has long treated me as an outsider, and standing my ground was both legally and professionally the right decision. However, emotionally, it's been exhausting. The estrangement from my father and Ella has been long-standing, and John's wedding, which should have been a celebration, turned into a legal and familial conflict I never desired. The impact of this event on my relationships with my family looms large. Will things ever normalize? Can my relationship with John be mended, or is the rift too profound? These questions remain unanswered, and it will take time to resolve them. For now, my focus is on how my father and Ella react to our offer. If they accept the NDA and release of claims, perhaps we can all move forward. If they choose to proceed with legal action, I am ready to defend my company and myself. My connection with someone who worked closely with the wedding planner for John and Ella's wedding provided me with some detailed insights into the events leading up to their big day. The problems began long before I arrived. They had been developing for weeks. Ella was particularly difficult to work with from the start. Despite finalizing the floral arrangements, she frequently demanded last-minute changes. She also repeatedly altered details with the event planner, including the wedding cake design, which changed 3 times because she couldn't decide on one. Days before the wedding, she insisted on a complete redo of the seating arrangements for over 470 guests, which was not only a logistical nightmare, but also a costly affair. The situation was compounded by Ella's interactions with the venue staff. She made several disparaging comments about their professionalism, which was ironic given their well-known excellent service. Additionally, Ella made last-minute requests to change the band's setlist, disregarding the choices she and John had made months before. This constant interference made the planning process extremely stressful for everyone involved. My colleague even shared that the planner nearly quit due to the strain of dealing with Ella's incessant demands and unrealistic expectations. This revelation made me feel somewhat justified. The stress I observed at the wedding reception was just a fraction of what the vendors had endured. On another note, the legal disputes following the wedding have been settled. Yesterday, my father's lawyer confirmed that Ella and her team accepted our settlement offer after extensive discussions. They agreed to a partial refund and signed a non-disclosure agreement. This morning, they completed all necessary paperwork, and we processed the refund, which covered 70% of their deposit after deducting costs for food, staff, and travel. With the legal issues resolved, I had hoped for some peace, but the personal fallout is worsening. Ella has begun to undermine my business since the event. She's been contacting my employees and some of my business, spreading false accusations and trying to damage my reputation. Thankfully, my team is loyal and has been instructed to redirect any communication from her to our legal department. Given her actions, our lawyer has sent her a cease and desist letter. We are prepared to take further legal action if necessary, but I am hopeful that this measure will deter her from continuing her harmful actions. It was already a challenging task to continue pushing Ella considering her history of overstepping boundaries. Yet, the most unexpected turn of events involved my brother John. Post-wedding, I hadn't anticipated much from him, but the repercussions of that day have surprisingly rippled into his own marriage. Conversations with mutual friends and a few cousins revealed that John and his new wife had their first significant dispute over the wedding incident. She was deeply disturbed by how our father and Ella treated me, and she confronted John post-wedding. She made it clear that John should have defended me and that his tolerance of our father and stepmother's humiliating behavior was completely unacceptable. She strongly believes that John needs to assert himself more against our father and Ella, which sparked a hefty argument between them. They even postponed their honeymoon to address these marital issues. I don't have all the details, but it's evident that John is now forced to confront the harsh realities of his family dynamics and reevaluate his relationships with our father and Ella. On one side, I feel a sense of relief knowing that someone else recognized the true nature of what occurred. It's validating. However, I also sympathize with John, who finds himself in a difficult situation. While I'm upset with him for not defending me, I understand the immense pressure he has faced from our family over the years. It's not a justification, but it explains his challenging position, especially now that he's trying to navigate these complexities as a newlywed. As for myself, I am focusing on moving forward. With the legal issues and Ella's attempts to undermine my business being managed by my legal team, I am beginning to experience a sense of closure. I'm uncertain about the future of my relationship with John and the rest of the family, but I'm taking things one day at a time. For now, I am grateful for the support from my staff, business, and even some family members who have reached out privately to encourage me. Yesterday, I met John for coffee, a long overdue conversation. It was emotionally charged, and I wasn't entirely sure I was ready for it, but it felt necessary. During our talk, John broke down and apologized for years of enabling Ella's manipulative behavior and our father's favoritism. He was visibly distressed, and it was clear he was burdened by guilt. While I always knew John loved me, hearing him admit his complicity in Ella's control over our family dynamics was a significant acknowledgement. John also shared that Ella had been manipulating the family financially for years, persuading our father to transfer most of their assets into her name, including partial ownership of John's condo. John was blindsided by this revelation, which explained much of their underlying tension. He felt he had been living a lie, believing he had control over his life, when in reality, Ella orchestrated everything. Now aware, he's working with a personal financial specialist to reclaim his independence. I was proud of him for taking steps to change his life. During our meeting, John also mentioned a breakthrough with his wife. She contacted me privately later to share some encouraging news. They're starting couples counseling. John has recently found his confidence and begun to assert himself against Ella more than ever before. They are actively searching for a new condo, one that will be registered only in their names, completely independent of Ella's influence. It's heartening to see them establish clear boundaries and reclaim control over their personal affairs. I'm optimistic that they will continue on this path of personal growth. Moreover, John and his wife are planning a modest vow renewal ceremony in a few months. This event will introduce a new seating arrangement for different in-laws at the family table, symbolizing their proactive efforts to redefine their family dynamics. It's uplifting to see them committed to creating a healthier family narrative, free from the toxicity that Ella and my father introduced. Interestingly, since Ella and my father signed the non-disclosure agreement, they've become unexpectedly quiet. Through mutual friends, I've learned that they are facing social repercussions in their country club circle. They had been spreading a distorted version of our family story, portraying me as the antagonist. Now, it seems their acquaintances are beginning to question their version of events, and the social standing they cherished is now at risk due to their own actions. This whole experience has been profoundly educational for me about the importance of maintaining boundaries with toxic family members. The toughest choices, such as upholding these boundaries or defending your values, are often the most correct, even if they temporarily disrupt peace. I've realized that steadfastly adhering to my truths, despite opposition, has fostered unexpected growth and healing in other relationships. I'm thankful for the community's support. Many of you have reached out with your own stories of dealing with toxic family dynamics, which has been immensely comforting. It's reassuring to know I'm not alone, and I hope sharing my experiences can assist others in similar situations. Looking forward, I am committed to keeping strong boundaries with Ella and my father, as they have clearly shown their true colors. However, I remain cautiously hopeful about mending ties with John and other family members who show respect and a willingness to engage positively. Professionally, my business is thriving more than I anticipated, especially after the wedding incident. We received numerous inquiries from potential clients impressed by how my team managed the chaos with professionalism. This has bolstered our local reputation and led to an increase in bookings, which is a testament to years of hard work and dedication to my business. I also met with my employees to discuss the incident, ensuring they felt supported and appreciated for their professionalism during the challenging situation. Their positive feedback about our strong company culture has made me proud and reinforced my commitment to treating employees well and fostering a positive work environment. While I'll maintain my boundaries with Ella and my father, I am excited about the possibility of reconnecting with John and other respectful family members. It's a delicate balance, but I am hopeful. Life is too short for toxic relationships, and I choose to focus on the positive connections that bring joy and support into my life.